Hello. Hello. Please enter your 6-digit conference code. Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. If you are, we will now connect you to your call. You are the first attendee in this conference. The host has joined the conference. Conference mute. Attendee name announce on.
plans that He has created for them. And so today is day 9 of our challenge, and that is to search out all things of our heart that are not of God. And so today, when you take your 20 minutes,
conference mute attendee name announce on.
Broken-hearted, gather round. It's not the end because you've fallen down. Tired of trying on your own. The Father's calling you, come home. You'll never be too far away. Just stop and turn around, He's made a way. He said, I'll never leave you alone. Hear Him calling you, come home. And this is the sound of people falling on their knees. This is the sound of the forgiven. This is the sound of people falling on their knees. This is the sound of the forgiven walking free. This is the sound of happy endings, the sound of your heart mending. This is the sound of never ending love. This is the sound of people falling on their knees. This is the sound of the forgiven, we're walking free. This is the sound of happy endings, the sound of your heart mending.
You're listening to God's Amazing Plans radio show, and I'm Tamara Doss, your hostess and warrior princess, founder of Amazing Life Ministries and God's Amazing Plans. Today we are going to step into God's amazing plans, and as we do, we deeply desire to seek and to learn to walk on God's path and not our own. We will be sharing life-giving stories of miracles, testimonies, and glimpses of God in our everyday lives. Glad you joined us. Yes, we are. We are so excited that you have chosen to join us here at God's Amazing Plans radio show, and I am Tamara Doss, your hostess and warrior princess for the next 2 hours, and I have the privilege and honor of sitting before my friend, and I'm going to say ministry partner, because anytime we can partner to go and share God's glory and grace and forgiveness, well, then we're partnering in ministry.
Amen. That's right.
Amen. Mr. John Weyhandt of Western Financial Services here in Corona
Close.
States.
Western States Financial.
I had it and I crossed it out. I am not kidding. I am not kidding.
Western States Financial and Western States Investments.
Western States Financial here in Corona, California. And so excited because I was telling John that, John, you are the only man since my husband, besides my husband, to be back here twice, to return once, but you've returned twice now.
Wow.
I know. Once with your lovely wife, Marlene, and now twice by yourself.
That's right.
And it's such an important topic.
Absolutely.
Such an important topic. I hear volume. Do you have your volume on? It's not mine. It's a nice background song, though, isn't it?
There you go.
That is like the start to financial peace.
Yes.
We're going to try to figure out where it is, but in the meantime, we're going to keep on talking. It's not either of our phones. So anyway, we're going to keep going with that nice music in the background.
It would be good to have financial peace, wouldn't it?
I mean, not just financial peace, in your pocketbook, in your checking account, but also in your mind, your heart, and your soul, where you can truly live in peace.
Yeah, and then you can focus on what God put you on this earth to do.
Yes, which is what?
Oh.
Glorify God through your time,
God.
talent, and treasure.
Yep, exactly. For everyone, it's going to be a different thing that God's purpose put you on this earth. So hard to focus on that when you're struggling for finances and struggling with money.
And you know what I love about financial peace is it does really affect your time, talent, and treasure.
Absolutely.
Because it frees up your time. It is your talent. I mean, it allows you to use your talent with your time, and you give of your resources, your treasures. And so it is best to have financial peace. I hope we get rid of that thing because it's kind of a little bit distracting.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I'm going to focus.
Okay. So I want to say hi to my crew back there, but I think I'm going to let them keep working on trying to find out where the music is playing. And then we'll say hi in a minute. Yeah, no, volume all the way down. Volume all the way down. Hey, bear with us. Bear with us, everybody. We got 3 people in the crew today, so we got a new volunteer in here today. So God thought He'd give him a lesson right off the bat so that he could learn how to handle technical difficulties, and that is Mr. Rowan Blocky. I'm so excited. Did I say that right? Blocky. And I'm so excited to have him here volunteering as an engineer today with Tamara Rivers, our everyday engineer on this show. I want to say thank you so much. And again, I want to say thank you to all the listeners that have, hey, we found it. Whatever button you hit, thank you so much. My head just cleared up.
There you go.
My head just went, and then all the words came back in. So anyway, I want to say thank you so much to all of our listeners on Facebook. You were destined to be here today. God has brought you here for a specific purpose. He's got a message for you today in something that we're going to be saying. And so I pray that in this moment you will actually ask God to reveal to him what it is that we are speaking directly to you. With your time, talent, and treasure, and learning to take hold of your finances, surrender them over to the Lord, and to learn to walk in his path and not your own as far as finances go. Because as we all know, they are truly his finances and not ours.
That's right.
And so when we can surrender them and learn that, you will be amazed at when we start living financially according to God's purposes, how more seems to come. More
Yes.
opportunities, it multiplies, just as he promised in Malachi, doesn't it?
Yes. The
Test
most
me.
important thing is that very first thing you said. Once you first give it all and understand it's all God's, then the rest of it's easy. If you're hanging on thinking it's your money and it's yours to control, then the rest of it's difficult. If you can give it up and understand all I have is the Lord's and all I'm going to have is the Lord's, and everything else is a lot easier.
And may I just say that same principle works in everything in our lives, doesn't it?
Yes.
Doesn't it? Anything
Absolutely.
we desire or want, whether it be love or family or relationships or job or whatever it is, as soon as we surrender to God's will, then the path starts becoming clear and God starts opening doors and you start walking into magical things. I mean, seriously, divinely ordained, supernatural, that you cannot explain by your own words and actions, only through the power of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And so that is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. But, you know, it's so exciting. God's Amazing Plans radio show is funded by Amazing Life Ministries, and I am the founder, along with my husband, Reggie Doss. And our goal at Amazing Life Ministries is to help people to to recognize, embrace, and to live out their amazing plan that God has created exclusively for you. And he has given you all the gifts and talents to walk out that amazing plan. And we are founded on 1 Corinthians 2:9, which states that no eye can see, no ear can hear, and no mind can conceive of the greatness in store for those who love the Lord. And so, oh my goodness, we want to embrace that verse and help to teach people what God has created for them here on earth as it is in heaven, and how to recognize it, embrace it, and live it out to its fullest. And so I'm really excited. I want you all to check out the website at www.godsamazingplans.com. You can find out a little bit more about our ministry, who we are, our values, our purposes, and check out upcoming events where either myself or Reggie will be speaking in the community, or events that we're going to be at. And I want to showcase a couple of those. I'm really excited. Quarterama is right around the corner. It's going to be April 13th, Friday the 13th. It's going to be at Corona Friends Church, address 1220 West Ontario Avenue, and it is in the cross streets of Lincoln and Ontario here in the city of Corona. And I think that fundraiser starts. Can Sean hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Does it start at 7 or earlier?
Actually, it starts at 6.
Starts
the
at
doors
6?
are going to open for shopping, food, all that kind of stuff, and then the actual raffle bingo thing will start at 7.
When is
Did
it?
you just say bingo?
What's that?
Bingo?
No,
Well,
Quarterama.
It's sort of like a bingo raffle.
Well, it has a
auction.
bingo cage.
Yeah, it's like everything.
When
That's
is
funny.
it?
It's Friday,
Can-
April 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to, but I guess I can.
Oh,
I have no choice here. You know.
oh,
That's true.
he's in both ears.
Good.
He's in both ears. He can't get you out. But we want to encourage all of you guys to come on down. And if you want to find out more about Quarterama, you can actually go to my website, or you can also go to hoperecovery.org, Hope Recovery Center, Inc. .org.
There you go.
Yeah, so check it out. All the information will be there. You can pay at the door. You don't have to pay in advance. So pay at the door. You can buy an executive paddle, and you'll be in for every bid of amazing prizes. And there'll be food. And you heard it, 6 o'clock. Doors open for shopping and food. And there'll be some amazing vendors there promoting their business, supporting this great cause. And if you need some presents for Mother's Day or birthdays, or just because I love you gifts, well, then hopefully you can find them there and support the great vendors that are supporting Hope Recovery Center.
Absolutely.
Can you sponsor the event? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you going to sponsor it, John?
Sure. How much do you want me to sponsor it for?
500. 500 for a table.
500 for a table?
500. Can it go?
A half table?
Half table? How about
Abs-
$350?
No. You want 500 for a half table? You'll take that. Is
Yeah,
that
you'll
what you
take.
said?
No, I said how much for a half table.
Oh. And who said 350?
My daughter's getting married, next year. So
I've
I've got a wedding to pay for.
Hey, John, careful what you ask for, okay?
I've
I
got
think
a
it was
wedding to
you
pay
who
for.
asked for it.
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
That's
You
good.
can deduct it on your taxes, so you're actually going to get it back.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that in tax planning today.
There you go.
And he'll give
We'll
an
clarify that
illustration. Yeah, he'll give an illustration of the answer for that question. So you work on that, okay?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, very good. But if you'd like to sponsor the event, we would love to hear from you. Sean would love to hear from you. Again, you can reach out at Hope Recovery Center Inc.org and get a hold of Sean and let him know, hey, how do I get to the event? How do I sponsor the event? How do I be a vendor to the event? And how do I share it with my friends? So, and actually, Hope Radio is going to have a booth there, right? And we're going to have a couple of the radio hosts that will be there.
Absolutely.
And so you'll get to come down and meet the on-air talent. I don't know who all will be there, but whoever it is, they're phenomenal, I can tell you that.
Wow.
And so come down and meet a couple of us. I know I'll be there. I'm sure that Julie from Revive will be there, and Anthony from Men of Impact, and Pastor Jeremy from God I Love Sports, and
Robin Jody.
Jody.
I heard Sean Kelly might be there too.
Sean Kelly.
Whoa.
Sean Kelly.
Yeah, he
Sean's
might.
going to be a little busy. You better not be in the booth.
The attorney, Sean Kelly?
No.
Whoa!
And not the baseball player, Sean.
Oh, okay. Boy, they're all over the place, aren't they?
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. And so here we go. We're gonna theme going on. If you're listening today, ask God where your heart is saying give of your time, talent, and treasure. The next event that I want to promote that Amazing Life Ministries is going to be participating in is the MK 5K run, and that is April 22nd. So that'll be the following week. And that is going to be at the Eastvale Park, and we are going to have a team walking and running, and we would love for you to join our team. And I know Tammy back there. This is a good time to say hello to everybody. Tam, how you doing? Tam's going to be a part of our team.
Sorry, couldn't find the right button.
That's okay. That's okay. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, my whole family's a part of the team.
I know. I'm so excited.
So have we hit the goal yet? Are we ready to increase it?
Not yet. I have so many things I'm promoting. I'm trying to be gentle with everybody out there. But
Come on, sign up. It's going to be a great event.
I
We've
think
got
we have
great
15.
people. It'll be fun. I mean, I know my kids are going to be involved, so you won't stop laughing because they're just hilarious.
you know
At least
what?
I think they are.
It's going to be a great day. We're going to be out walking. Some of us will be running on the team, but we'd love to represent Amazing Life Ministries. I am going to have a booth out there and get to share with the community and the public. And I have the honor of doing invocation that day, and so I'm really, really excited for the day and being able to bless all the runners, walkers. And so if you'd like to join our team, I would love to have you come. You can go to www.godsamazingplans and let me know, or you can text me at 951-202-3567. Of course, if you're on Facebook, you can make a comment there. We'll read all the comments and know, hey, I want to get involved in the team, and then I'll send you more information. But we would love to have you. We would love to really show up in our new logo and our new energy, coming out there and showing people what God looks like in our lives. Through our smiles, through our energy, through our health, being able to walk out there for a good cause. And MK5K is actually the Mary Kay Foundation, and they help, John, I don't know if you know about them, but they actually help fund women's cancer organizations and women's domestic violence shelters. And so all that money goes to not just the women, but also the kids and the families that are being supported. And so very good cause. And then the last thing, I am so excited. Do we have any great music back there? I'm really excited because I have the honor and pleasure of Miss Nicole Forbes of Elevate Life Church is helping me to launch our first fundraiser. It'll be at Corona Friends Church for Amazing Life Ministries, and it is going to be a Cinco de Mayo Zumba party fundraiser, and we are trying to get over 200 human beings, men, women, or children that would come down and Zumba. We're going to have 3 instructors. Nicole and 2 of her special guests will come. We're going to do 3 30-minute Zumba sessions, all of different music. I know that Pastor Nicole actually does some to Christian music, And I don't know about the other two, but she's going to work that all out. We are going to have some vendors and some raffle prizes. We're going to have prizes for whoever brings the most guests and a couple of surprise prizes. So I hope you come. I do have everything set up, but I'll put it out on Facebook pretty soon. But again, if you want me to make sure I invite you and get you aware of that when we set up the registration, it's all set up. We're waiting for the flyer so we can sync it and put it all together. So hopefully in the next day or two, we'll be able to put that out. You guys can start signing up and pay. It's going to be a small fee, and again, paying before versus the door will save you some money. So if you'd like to sponsor that event, John,
There you go.
or anybody else would like to sponsor, we would love to have any organizations that would like to get their name out, branded, promoted, and we'll give you a little plug at the event. I'd love to break the 200 mark, to be honest. Can you imagine how much fun it's going to be to rock out with over 200 people?
Can we have a prize for not dying?
Yeah, I was going to say, I like the 200 people. The Zumba part's the one that scares me.
Okay. Well,
My daughter loves Zumba, by the way. Courtney
she?
loves it.
Well, I'm sure she'll be coming.
And she's listening, too.
All right. So here's the deal. I've been thinking about this all morning when I get ready to promote again. You know what? If you're afraid of Zumba, like Mr. John over here, don't be afraid. You can still come out and support the cause and hang out. You can still shop. We're going to probably have about 10 vendors there. And so come, and actually your lovely wife will be there as a vendor.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And so we're going to have candles and clothing and coffee and Plexus and vitamins and we're going to have and a couple of ministries. Probably the radio show will be there. So come on out, meet us, greet us, and support a great cause. And
when is it again?
It's going to be on Cinco de Mayo. Do we have any Cinco de Mayo music back there?
That's a Saturday.
If not, we're going to have to work Saturday morning, 9 a.m., 12 o'clock. It's going to be at Corona Friends Church. 9 a.m. is open up for shopping and checking in. And 9:30 will be the first cast of the first song of the first movement.
All right.
Yes.
And how long does the Zumba classes go?
It's 3 30-minute sessions. So you can either try to do 1, 2, or 3, or all of them
Or just
together.
get in and out as fast as you can.
Yeah,
or
and
as long as you can.
and we're also going to have a break in between. There'll be some snacks and drinks, and so we're going to have a little break in between. So don't fret like you have to go work out for 90 minutes, because that is not the case.
Somebody will probably bring donuts, so you guys can do great jobs working out and then having
John,
donuts.
if you show up with donuts, I am so gonna. I've been like racking my brain over what kind of snacks we'll be serving, and donuts was not.
Well, Sean was at the Dunkin' Donuts grand opening yesterday in line.
I know. I thought they were crazy for going. What time did you go? At like 3 in the morning?
Yeah, we got there at 3. We left our house at 2:50.
And he did not get he wasn't one of the first 100 then.
So
no.
So was your motivation to try to be one of the first 100?
Yeah, it's funny because that night my wife's like, "Hey, you want to do something crazy?" I'm like, "Sure." She's like, "Let's go get donuts." So I don't know. It was something she wanted to do, and she said the first 100 get free coffee for a year, and we're like, "Hey, okay." We thought for sure maybe we
At that hour in the morning, you think you would.
We missed it by a good 100.
Yeah, I say you didn't even come close, is what I understand.
So my kids
People were
got
lining
it.
Your
They
kids
were?
got it?
Yes.
But they were there at 12:30.
They were.
At night?
Yes. They didn't go to bed because they didn't want to fall asleep, so they wouldn't miss out on the free coffee.
Wow.
You know, it's only 1 cup of coffee a week for a year.
Yeah.
It's not,
I guess that's just not in my wheelhouse.
I saw that and I'm like, it's not worth it.
It's not in my wheelhouse to do that kind of stuff. I don't know why. I'm just not equipped and built for that kind of stuff. Like the Rose Parade, going out the night before, freezing, sleeping. It's just not in my character. I don't know.
But here's something I told my wife. I said, okay, if we're going to do this, there's no complaining the next day. You can't say you're tired and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what did she do? I'm so tired. I need to take a nap.
Yeah, well, you know what? You remind her, because guess what? She's going to want to do something crazy again.
Uh-huh.
So you make sure you got that recorded. She signed it and all that good stuff so you can refresh her memory.
Video it, right?
Yes.
You guys weren't there when I did the grand opening at 8 in the morning.
At the Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, I did the grand opening at 8
That's
in the
because
morning.
they were home taking a nap.
No, I had to go to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to come take a nap.
Yes,
All right.
yeah, exactly.
All right. So back on the Amazing Life Ministries fundraiser, the Zumba party, because guess what we'll be raising funds for? Guess what we are raising funds for?
What are you raising funds for?
I'm so glad you asked. 10% of the night we'll actually go, or the morning, we'll actually go back to Hope Recovery Center.
Wow.
Yes, and then
Wow, that is awesome.
we also have 3 new projects that are coming. We are going to be doing a homeless family project. We are going to be doing a domestic violence family project, and we're going to be doing a foster adoption family project. And so all the money raised will actually go to support those 4 causes. And so we're really, really excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll be launching more information about the specifics of each of those organizations or each of those what's it called, John? Each of those venues, because you can get involved in each of those venues as well, going out into the communities and really helping bless these families that are in those particular situations.
God does have amazing plans, doesn't he?
God has amazing plans. And, you know, at Amazing Life Ministries, we, again, are helping people to live the abundant life. And that's why, and, you know, it's really cool because for the last year, I've been praying over, like, what organization we would partner with, what cause we would partner with. And of course, it's in our heart to do foster and adoption because of our circumstances and our situation. It was like a no-brainer. But I was never at 100% peace with that, and that's why we had really never moved forward. And so my little firecracker friend, I saw Miss Nicole today as a firecracker. I'm going to do a little story on her because she's a firecracker friend. And if you know what a firecracker is, when you get a firecracker next to other firecrackers that yet have not been ignited, that one firecracker lights them all off. And that's who Pastor Nicole is. She's my little firecracker friend. And it just ignited the passion in Reggie and myself. And we've been really talking about all these different places we want to bless. And God has really given me peace because he said to me, the abundant life is for everybody, not just the adoption foster. That you need to go and spread it everywhere in the community because the abundant life is for everybody. And so that's why we're going to be targeting many causes and organizations. So come out and support us. And then I have not said hello to Mr. Rowan. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Can I call you Mr.? Are you in the age bracket for Mr.?
I'm 18 years old, so I guess I'm an adult. So.
Yeah? Yeah, what do we call? Do we call him Mr.?
Well, I don't know. Is he wanted to pay all his own bills and, you know?
Yeah, I pay for my insurance.
All right, very
That's
good.
a good start. That's a good start. Well, you're going to love the show today. Rowan, this is your first day on God's Amazing Plans radio show, and we're so excited to have you back there.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, hooking up with Tamara. We're going to do some new and exciting things on the show. We are growing and progressing here. We just had a team meeting here at Hope Radio 24/7 where all the hosts were getting together and brainstorming and wanting to reach more and more audience. And, you know, the best way is for all of you to spread the good news. Share. If you've gotten a good word, if you've gotten a good resource, if you heard a special guest give you, you know, nuggets of gold that you've been able to apply to your life, share this radio station with your friends. And if you can't remember, it's Hope Radio 24/7. And there's 3 ways to access most of the shows, actually all the shows. Go live on Facebook, and then you'll be able to find us on YouTube. There is an app you can download at Hope Radio 24/7. And, of course, you can listen online at www.hoperadio247.com. So it is basically everywhere, anytime, because it's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no hour that you will be without hope.
Sean never sleeps.
Never.
Well, you may need a nap with your wife soon. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. So we are going to, let's see what time it is. We are doing great. What we are going to do is take our first commercial break, and then we are going to, when we come back, we're going to jump right into the message for the day. And today, so excited with my guest, John Weyhandt of Western States Financial here in Corona. He's going to be sharing some wisdom and expertise and some reality. And not just the reality of what's happening, but also help create a plan for the future. So if you are somebody who desires to live, number one, God's way.
Yes.
By God's rules, by God's design, and for God's purposes, you got the right place, because we're going to talk a little bit about, first, the 3 steps that were critical for building the foundation. We talked about those in part 1, and I highly recommend you, if you did not hear part 1 of this show, go back. I need to look at the date, but I think it was in January, right? Was it the 3rd or 4th week of January? I will look for that, or maybe my team can help me look for that date, but I'd love for you to go back and listen to part 1, which was the 3 building blocks of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, which the first one is create an emergency fund of $1,000, or John would say $3,000, depending upon your income.
Yes.
Step 2 is to pay off all your debt, to do the snowball debt payment plan. And
Except your mortgage.
Except your mortgage. But to get all your debt except your mortgage removed, diminished, deleted, gone. And then your third plan is to build a 3 to 6 month reserve of income to provide for yourself, your family, your home in the event that something in life happens and you
Right.
find yourself in desperation.
Yep, build that emergency fund.
Yep. And so you have an emergency fund created for a 3 to 6 month plan. And you know, before we go to break, I want to read this. Oh, I hope I can find it. Yeah, I got it right here. John, if you remember last time you were here, at the end of the show, I was like, oh, I wish I would have brought that letter.
That's right.
I found it right after that show, and so I want to read it today. I'm not going to give out the name of who this is, but myself and Tammy Alexander and Doug Morrison, we've all had the pleasure of teaching financial peace at Corona Friends Church. And out of the very first one that we launched, I think we had about 45 people there. And some were online, but 45 people that took it. We had a family write this letter. So I want this to, you to meditate on this during the commercial break, and also share with your friends who might be people in these particular circumstances who need to hear this word. It'll be based on biblical principle as well as real life how-tos to create financial peace. So the letter goes like this. Hi, ladies. I just wanted to give you a financial peace update. We will have our first debt snowball credit card paid off next Wednesday. I just got a judgment on my car accident, so pending an appeal, I will have my parents paid back for my car repair. I found out that part of my income is actually tax exempt, so next Thursday, I go to my tax preparer to file for a refund. When we get our refund, we are buying my brother-in-law's Honda Civic for my husband to drive to work, and we will sell my Volvo to pay off the rest of our credit cards and part of the debt on my husband's Ford truck. So last night, I had my first lesson in driving a stick shift, since I will be driving his Ford. Once all this is completed, we are going to see about converting our 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage, since we will have extra money in our budget for it. In addition, my husband is having an automatic deduction monthly into a savings account to start building our income emergency fund. So by the first of the year, we hope to have a new mortgage, no more credit cards, 2 months, income savings, and working on our last debt, the truck. My husband has a 2-year goal for a new car. He's already picked it out and is excited to think about buying it outright. No car payments. So it makes driving a 16-year-old car easier. I'll give you a follow-up in a few weeks. I can't express how excited my husband and I are to be in agreement and happy about our new challenges. Thank you for your help and support.
Awesome.
So I know. So with that being said, meditate over that and do me a favor during commercial break. It gives you an opportunity to hit your share button on Facebook and share it with all your friends and have them tune in. And if you're not on Facebook, well, open up your computer and you can email, text, and invite all your friends to watch HopeRadio247.com. We'll be right back after this commercial.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard.
Hi, I'm Reggie Dawes of Amazing Life Ministries. Would you like to be a Kingdom's partner with God's Amazing Plan radio show and Amazing Life Ministries as we help spread the good news of Jesus Christ and speak life into the world every Friday here at Hope Radio 24/7? God's Amazing Plan is looking for sponsors and financial partners to join us as we grow our show and this station. We would love to help you promote your church, ministry, business, or upcoming special event 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Hope Radio 24/7. Would you prayerfully consider how God could use you to be the kingdom partner with God's Amazing Plan radio show and Amazing Life Ministries? If you're interested in the opportunity to partner with us, would like to learn more about how you can help and be a part of this radio show, please contact Tamara at 951-202-3567 or www.godsamazingplan.com.
What up, everyone? This is Ramon with Epic Thoughts and Hope Lounge on Hope Radio 24/7. And attention all you artists, musicians, and producers. We have a brand new opportunity for you here at Hope Recovery Center. We have our very own studio. That's right, we have a studio where people could come in and record their greatest music and explore their ministry in the arts. And for the month of February, for this month only, we are having a special for anybody who wants to come use the studio. We're having a one-time special for the month of February, 2 hours for $125. That's right, you get a full recording for a 2-hour minimum of $125. For more information, email me at hopestudio@hoperecoverycenterinc.org.
Hi, this is Tamara Doss, host of God's Amazing Plans radio show and founder of Amazing Life Ministries. I am so excited to be partnering with Hope Recovery Center here in Corona, California every Friday right after my radio show from 12:15 to 1:30 p.m. I am teaching and encouraging from my new book, The 30-Day Challenge to Living Out God's Amazing Plans. I'm personally inviting you to join us as we seek the Lord together, and I will share one of the 30 key principles every week along with an applicable Bible verse and stories that will help plant the principle deep into your heart. We will also explore together how to have a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ through prayer, meditation, journaling, and learning the intimate voice of God. If you want to truly discover God's amazing plans and live in His will, you must learn to quiet your soul and seek His presence, to learn to walk on His path and not your own. This is the first step to discovering God's amazing plans. I hope you will consider joining us on Fridays at Hope Recovery Center at 9036 Pulsar Court, Suite H in the city of Corona. We're right off the 15 freeway and the Wyrick exit. That's 12:15 to 1:30 every Friday here at Hope. Be blessed and be a blessing to others.
Hey everyone, this is Sean Kelly from the Hours of Hope radio show, and I'm just here to tell you about something near and dear to my heart, and one of the main reasons why we have Hope Radio 247.com. Hope Recovery Center is a faith-based outpatient recovery center who helps people with any hurt, habit, or addiction. The services we provide here are free of charge and available to anyone. We found the vast majority of people, they don't need a professional psychiatrist. What they really need is someone to listen to them, someone to love them, and to be part of something, a family in particular. For more information, call 951-603-0031. Again, the number is 951-603-0031, or visit our website at www.hoperecoverycenterinc.org. As I always say, Godspeed, my friends.
Hi, this is Danielle Rivers. I'm an intern here at Hope Radio, and you're listening to Hope Radio 247.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard what you...
We are back in studio here at God's Amazing Plans radio show, and I am Tamara Doss, your hostess and warrior princess for the next hour and a half, and I am here with the mighty, intelligent, and influential Mr. John Weyhandt. You like that?
Sure.
You
thanks.
never know what I'm going to say.
Oh.
You never know what I'm going to say. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm excited.
And he is with Western States Financial. Where is your organization? Do you have an address?
Yeah.
Location? You wanna shout it
227,
out?
2275 South Main Street, Corona. I'm in Suite 103B, right there on Ontario and Main Street.
Ontario and Maine.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
very cool.
Got in a beautiful building there. So.
But set up by appointment only.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Appointment
John's
only.
out and about. In
I
the
am all the
community.
time. So I'm kind of busy a little bit this year, being the chairman of the board, and whatever else my wife commits me to. And it's like when I hear that music in my ear and stuff. I mean, it's like, okay, that's I've got my wife talking in my ear all the time, so it's good.
I'm sure that's a compliment.
Yes, it is.
She's probably not talking as much as she's whispering sweet nothing.
Yes, she's trying to keep me on track, so she's always trying to do best for me. Yeah, there you go. Wow.
Marlene,
Crack the
knock
whip.
it off, Marlene. Knock
Wow.
it off. Knock it off. That is funny. That is funny. So anyway, John not only has a business here in town, but he teaches Financial Peace University at his church, New Beginnings Church in Norco. And what's the other location? What city is that?
Arupa Valley.
Arupa
There's
Valley.
a second campus in Arupa Valley, so
Yeah,
absolutely.
very good. And John's been teaching financial peace of some sort, whether it be through Dave Ramsey's or the other one. What was the other one called?
Crown, and I've
Crown.
done, yeah. So for, gosh, probably close to 20 years now.
So John is the spreader of peace. John has the wisdom of financial peace in his pocket and has been spreading it for years and years and years and years. And so thank you for doing that. Truly, we need leaders out there that are continuing to encourage people to make their money, spend their money, and use their money God's way.
Right.
And the ultimate payoff is that really you get blessed, and then you are able to bless other people, which is one of my taglines. Blessed to be a blessing.
Yes.
Once we become blessed, we are called to be a blessing to others. And so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was only because I did everything wrong before I started doing it.
Well,
God's way.
we always learn our most valuable lessons from doing it wrong.
Yes.
I don't think I learned it quite as hard of a lesson as you did, but I too had to learn through my lessons. You know, when I had my own business, and you find yourself in a big debt, and you go to close it off, is when you really realize what kind of situation you're in.
Sure.
And so we all get to learn those lessons, but if we can help teach or prevent, like Rowan back there who's 18, can you imagine if you were 18, John, and you got not only the opportunity to learn these lessons, but you actually applied them to your, to your life?
Yes, because it's not just knowledge, it's also behavior.
It's behavior.
Yeah, a lot of people have the right knowledge, they just don't have the behavior that goes with it.
Yes, it's in the head, but it hasn't gotten to the heart.
Yep, that's a big 18 inches.
It's a really, come on, is that
18-inch drop. Yes, that's what there's
Wow.
a 18-inch drop from the head to the heart.
Yeah, and it's important. You got to get it from the head to the heart, because the heart is then what extends it out to the hands and feet.
Yes, and then it's a lifelong commitment, because it's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It is a marathon.
Right. It's not a 30-minute Zumba class. It's a lifelong class.
It's 30 minutes stretched out over your lifetime.
There you
Very
go.
slow clock.
There you go.
It's a very slow clock. So, well, anyway, today we are going to, let's go back to the first part of this. So I found out during break that you can check out our show on either podcast or on Facebook. If you go into the podcast reserve at hoperadio247.com, go look for the show God's Amazing Plans, and then search for the February 2nd podcast. You'll be able to hear John and my conversation on part 1 of this conversation of financial peace, living in God's plan. And it was great. And we really we spent an hour and a half doing step 1, 2, and 3. So it was pretty detailed. It was actually great information. And it's so critical that you get 1, 2, and 3. I don't want to say don't move on to 4, 5, 6, 7 today, but don't move on to 4, 5, 6, 7. But let it sink in your head and go back and listen to the tape on 1, 2, and 3 so that you get your foundation, because you know you want your house built on a firm foundation.
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
You don't put the roof up before you put the flooring in. Yes.
The walls. You don't put.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to build the foundation. Then you build the framing. Then you put in the walls. Then you put on the roof. So make sure that your foundation is firm and can withstand all the elements of life that will come your way. And so I'm going to go through the first 3 steps, and then John, I'm going to have you answer those questions we saw on Facebook.
Okay.
Hey, if you guys have more questions, please keep them coming on the Facebook. We're going to keep trying to pay attention and answer those questions. But step 1, first of all, if you don't know Dave Ramsey, you can find out more about Dave Ramsey at daveramsey.com, DAVERAMSEY.com. And on there, if you're interested in actually going to some of these classes, just simply go look for where are the classes in my area, hit it, put your zip code in, and you will be amazed at what is happening in your community at churches. And they are teaching this, and you can get signed up and attend these classes and get on your way to financial freedom. But what is most exciting is that once you are a member, once you attend a class, you are a lifetime member.
For life.
So you can continue to go on these all the time. So when you fall and you need to get back up, well, you go check out the class and you go back and learn again. Or once you've completed steps 1, 2, and 3 and you can't remember what he taught you in steps 4, 5, 6, then you can go back and you can attend those classes 4, 5, and 6, and you can do it as many times as possible.
Yes, and there are incredible resources online.
My gosh.
You can access just tons of stuff. He's always got great information. You can pull up his radio shows, all kinds of stuff, all his blogs and everything. So no lack of information. The information isn't the problem.
And, you know, I really, I hope to meet Dave one day, because my friend knows him very well, the one who actually helped me launch at my church. And he's such a funny man with such wisdom, but what I love about him most is that he's a godly man. And so he gave out financial information before his life was transformed, and now he's giving out it again. And this time, it's with really the most important wisdom that you can possibly have, because he said, what does God say about this? And that's the critical question that we have to ask. What does God say about our finances? What does God say about my mortgage? What does God say about buying a new car? What does God say about contributing to an organization when you're in debt? You knew to say not at this moment. But really, what does God say about all these things that I should be buying or doing or spending or giving? And so that's what I love about Dave. Not to mention, he is hilarious. He is a hoot.
Yes, he is funny.
He is a hoot.
And it isn't just
and
saying,
a little sarcastic,
and
too.
it isn't just saying, wait, it's like, well, I've got to check with my wife because I'm married, so I don't make the financial decisions by myself.
Ooh.
I've got to check with my wife before I spend whatever limit you put on yourself. I mean, I could go spend $10 or $20, but before I invest $100 or $500 in something, we've got to talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
You know, we had a rule going on pretty early in our marriage that anything over like $200, we would communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of blown out of that once or twice, but for the most part, we really stay in that.
Right.
We really do. And I think it really is important. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Because not only you have to be on the same page, but you have to be on the same goals, but it may not be the right time either. You
Correct.
know? And so the reason why I started Financial Peace at my church was because we were doing a marriage ministry. My husband and I were leading a marriage ministry, and it's the number one issue for divorce. And so that's why it was so critical to put it into our marriage ministry, because you see your husband out spending $500, $1,000, $300, $200. Well, guess what? It starts causing issues in the marriage, especially if you're really actually having financial trouble and you're still out spending money. But even if you're safe and doing well, it still is a lack of communication and a lack of priority and making the relationship first and foremost and the foundation. And us women, we love security. We love security.
Now, in most marriages, the guys will blow it on bigger items, and the women will make their
hundreds
spend
of
it on
little ones.
the little ones. Yes, and a lot of times it's
because
the kids.
then you never have to have a conversation about spending more
Yes,
than $200.
and a lot of times it's the kids. The kids will get you. A lot of times, I see a lot of people financially in trouble because they can't say no to the kids. They're always opening. They can't say no to their daughter's wedding. Hi, Courtney, I got it in again.
That's twice. Let's count.
You
How
said there
many
were some
times?
questions on here?
Yeah, there are. So we're going to answer the questions, which are really steps 1, 2, and 3. So the first question was, do we need more than a 6-month reserve?
Okay, that's a good question. So Dave Ramsey, again, he's talking generically to the United States of America, saying you need to build up your reserve to 3 to 6 months. So first step is to put $1,000 in emergency. So it doesn't do a whole lot of good to pay off debt, and then something breaks and you've got to go back into debt to fix it. So save up that $1,000. And again, I believe if you own a home or you've got other responsibilities, an older car, maybe you need to build that up to $3,000. He's been saying $1,000 for years. So I've had people in my class where their air conditioner in their house breaks, and we live in the desert, so it's hard to go without that. So that's more than most repairs are going to be more than $1,000. So if you own a home and you're responsible for that, then I would say you build up that reserve to $3,000. Then it's built up to 3 to 6 months. So again, it depends on your job on how long the reserve. If you're a teacher, you've been at your job for 20 years, 3 months is probably plenty. If you're a realtor, contractor, someone self-employed, maybe a year is more realistic. So again, it's having enough money if something happens where you can go access it and get that money. So it really depends on where you're at. So I would say, again, like most things, you have to personalize it and take a look at, get good, wise counsel and take a look at your personal situation. But there's people that are self-employed. If your income fluctuates a lot, then you do need to build a longer reserve.
Amen.
If you've been steady and you've got a job where there's no, and then I even asked someone last night, so if something happened to your job, how hireable are you? How fast could you find something else?
Exactly.
If you've got the job of your life and no one will hire you and pay you that amount, you probably need to save a little more.
Yes, you need to be prepared because the hunt for a job might be longer.
Yes.
But okay, and
age could be a factor in that too.
Yes. Well, there's so many factors. So if you have the ability and you have the circumstances that can afford you the opportunity to put in more, absolutely you can. But you really also want to move into steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's a balance of everything. It's an individualized, customized plan. This is a great, really just simple foundation.
Yeah.
So how much of the reserves should be cash and how much should be in the bank?
cash?
I
What's
think
cash?
of all of it.
All of
the
it should be in the
same.
bank.
Yeah, it's all the same. Cash and in the bank are the same.
Yes. When you say cash, you mean in the mattress?
Well,
Do you mean just
safe,
liquidized?
You know, it's cash on hand, basically, to in the bank having to go to the ATM.
Yeah. So, emergency fund really should be in the bank. Probably not at your your checking account. Should be in a separate account. I'm not a big fan of cash laying around the house, only because that's not insured. That's not FDIC insured. That's not really protected. You also want to make sure you don't build up your checking account with way too much, because if you get hacked, they can get that money in your checking account and your savings account. It's a little harder to get. So, but again, it's the same thing. So, if you people feel really comfortable and want to put money in the safe, fine, that's emergency fund. But really, at the bank, it's better protected there. I guess if you have a big enough safe, so you don't have to worry about it. But again, most people keep the money laying around the house, and if their house got broken into and their money disappeared, that's not going to happen if it's sitting in the bank. So,
But it should be a savings account put away, tucked away, that is liquid and ready for you to pull immediately upon need.
yes, not invested. It's not an investment.
Exactly.
It's an insurance. It's insurance if something goes wrong, or you get hurt, something breaks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because what happens when we are not prepared, even with our 1,000, which sounds like a lot to some and not very much to others, but this happens all the time. When you don't have a savings account, when you don't have your emergency fund, even of the $1,000, something breaks, and so what do? We call it emergency, and we put it on a credit card, and we've got to be prepared for emergencies so that we don't go into debt to cover our emergencies.
Right.
Even if it means, and backing up to step one, I mean, he talks about do it immediately, like boom. You need to do it as fast as you can. You have to have a garage sale. You sell off stuff. It's not like something you just start saving for. This is something he wants you to go and do quickly so that you have it there and prepared.
Right. Absolutely.
And then you work on the 3 to 6 month
Correct.
long term. But at least, and it's Murphy's Law.
Yes.
We couldn't remember that last show, but
Yes.
it's Murphy's Law, and he talks a little bit about it. And Murphy's Law is basically, when you're not prepared, emergencies always come your way. But when you are prepared, for some reason, they don't come often. It's just like all of a sudden, you're not, because you're prepared. It's kind of like the enemy. When you're prepared, spiritually and emotionally, and you're guarded up and protected with the armor of God, the enemy doesn't come to attack you. It's kind of the same thing with your finances. When you are prepared and equipped, you have been able to, defend your property, defend your territory,
Yes.
defend your life, and for some reason, it just kind of works that way. It's unexplainable, but it's a peaceful feeling, and that's what this is about, financial peace.
Right.
So then, but actually, we do step 2 before we do step 3, which is the 3 to 6 month. So
Reserve.
don't get confused. That was actually the second question. Do you first build the emergency fund or pay off everything? So Caroline, this is to you. You get the first 1,000,
Right.
or 3,000, depending on your income situation and circumstances. Then you
pay
start
off
paying
debt.
off your debt.
And we talked about last time, listen to that snowball debt. Someone even asked on here, who do I go to get like a low interest credit card to transfer everything over? And really got to be careful about that, because statistically, most people that get an additional credit card to transfer over, if they haven't fixed the problem with their budget and everything else, they end up going into debt. Even 2/3 of Americans that borrowed on their home equity to pay off debt were back in the same situation within 2 years. So you've got to fix it's not just dealing with the symptom. We've got to go back to what the problem was. And so we've got to make sure your budget and you're spending less than you earn. And so you got to be really careful if you go out and get additional credit cards to try to save a little interest. It's typically not worth it. So you do the debt snowball, list your debts smallest to largest, pay off the smallest one first, and just go after it with the gazelle intensity and pay off that debt. Now, if you've already got a credit card with lower interest, you want to transfer, okay. But don't go out and get more credit. Don't go out and get more debt to pay off debt. Paying off debt with more debt is usually not the answer.
That is a really good warning. So just tackle what's in front of you. Don't add to it.
Right.
Sometimes we get these grandiose ideas that this will help, but the truth is it can hinder you. So stay focused on the race ahead of you.
Mm-hmm. And really look at, again, if you're overspending, you've got to deal with that issue. If you're spending more than you make, I mean, you can try to pay off debt, but you're not going to be very successful until you fix that. So you've got to really find a way to reduce and either make more, spend less. You can get a second job. You can do certain things. You can't do those forever, but you can do them short term. So you got to find a way to get yourself out of debt.
And you know what's easier? Spending less than making more.
Yes.
So I highly recommend that instead of waiting for the moment to make more, that you start learning to spend less.
Combination, but yes, a lot of people, especially self-employed people, I'm just going to go make more money and fix my way out of that. It's hard to make more to get yourself out of it.
Yes,
you got to do both. Pay. Our government's been trying to do that for a long time. It doesn't work.
And I'm counseling somebody right now, and I'm asking them to track everything they spend, to put it in categories and start tracking everything, just so they can get a good view, an eagle-eye view on really where are they spending their money.
Yeah, the Bible says know the condition of your flock. So you got to know where you're at.
Exactly.
See what you're spending. People have no idea.
No, people have no idea. And I give this advice, not really because of Dave's class, but because of my own experience. When I finally went to close down my business, that's exactly what I did. I was laying everything out and starting to track it. And that was the first time I actually was like, oh my gosh, I really had no idea where I was spending my money.
Yeah. If you keep track, you'll do better. Even when I use an app on my phone to track what I eat, my calories.
Yep.
Gosh, I do so much better when I track it. I lose weight, and then I stop, and guess what? I don't lose weight. I gain weight. So I don't know why I can't just keep putting my calories and my food in there. But you do that, you keep track of things, you will improve what you spend. It'll improve your behavior just by tracking.
It's that awareness, and it seems like this is a great time for behavior story. Got a behavior story you can share? Because this is exactly what we're talking about, is modifying our behavior. And it makes us aware and alert when we are, aware and alert of what we are really doing. Because sometimes we're mindless, and we get in stressful situations or urgent situations. We're a busy people, and so we just go spend, fast food, do this, get some money, get the ATM, move, credit card.
And we have habits. We have poor habits, and some of those are based on emotions and things. So when we're stressed, we tend to do things. That when we're fatigued, we do things that we shouldn't do. Those are some of the things where our brains don't work the right way. When we're tired, our brains don't work the right way. And we need to stop and pray, ask the Holy Spirit to come in and give us the strength and the wisdom. But the behavior story is, I was with a friend of mine. We went up to help settle his aunt's estate in Oregon. We flew up there. I went up there with my friend Randy, flew up to Medford, Oregon, and went to Rogue River, Oregon. And we went through her estate. Rogue River. Woo! Great little town. We drove home, and he rented a Suburban, a brand new Suburban where you rent, and drove that back home. And the Suburban has this thing where the seat vibrates if you switch lanes without putting on a blinker. So it's supposed to protect you if you're swerving, maybe fall asleep, it'll wake you up, those kind of things. So what I was noticing is I was changing lanes without blinkers. So every time I did that, the seat would vibrate. And alert me that I'm I'm alerted. Well, I'm changing lanes without my blinker. And what I found is about halfway through the trip, because I drove from Redding, California down here, I drove home, and I noticed that my behavior changed when I was starting to use my blinker so that the seat didn't alert me that I was changing. So just that little nudge, that little coaching, that little accountability, it changed my behavior. And I thought that was interesting when I was driving home, and I thought about the analogy and the similarity to financial, to eating healthier, to do better habits. Is your behavior can change if you're a little accountable. Your behavior can change when you're accountable to yourself. It's amazing how fast your behavior can change. And so there I was, and I changed my behavior, and I was actually halfway through putting on my blinker, being a safer driver for one little bit of accountability. It was kind of interesting, yeah.
But what we want to tell that story for is if we can find applicable practices for ourselves, like tracking and writing, you becoming aware, setting up your own little program, making sure that you have family meetings once a week, especially in the beginning, finding out where you've spent, and especially that out of cash. I mean, you obviously have the digital record when you spend it out of the credit card, but all the other little stuff that we just spend on, and
protect yourself. If you're a single mom and you're tired and your kids are wearing on you where they want to go, and you may just let your guard down. You may end up running through fast food, spending money you don't have. Spending your grocery money on something else. So you just got to be careful, knowing when you're tend to do things that are going to hurt your budget, and that's the behavior. Even though you know better, what behaviors and when you make mistakes that are going to hurt you.
I just realized we became vegan, and so to be a vegan, you have to plan and prepare, because you just have to plan and prepare better. Right. And you know what? We actually ended up spending a lot less money recently, because we have to plan and prepare our meals. We can't just go out to drive-thrus anymore.
Yes.
And so we have to plan and prepare so much better, and consequently it has ended up helping us financially as well.
Impulse, there's not as much impulse changes, right? So
Yes.
they say that 49% of millennial purchases are impulse purchases. So
90, did you say?
49% are
49.
impulse. So
Wow.
49 or 50% are impulse. So they had no intention of spending that money. It was an impulse purchase.
Yeah.
So whether it's a lot of it is social media, could be at the checkout line at the gas station. There's marketing is they're smart. They're smart people. They put things up in front of you when you're walking out.
Well, as we just
checking
learned
out.
about Facebook, how they're tracking us and they know
Yes.
everything about us. And you wonder why those ads pop up that you just researched.
Yes.
You just searched out something and all of a sudden there they are again, popped
Mm-hmm.
right up. How do they know? Well, because
Yes.
they
know.
are tracking you and they are marketing to you, which is, we're not going to go into that section, but chapter 4 in the Financial Peace University, not step 4, but chapter 4 is buyer beware.
Yes.
Because their marketing is out to get you. There's a hook out there always trying to get you, and they're masters at it.
Absolutely.
They're masters at it, and guess what? We fall prey to it
All the time.
pretty easily. So, well, let's get into steps. If you guys have any more questions, let's see. Do we have any more?
Yeah, so we better jump into step 4, right?
Yeah, let's just jump. I wanted to make sure we didn't have any other questions. Hey, if you guys got questions, you can call in 712-775-8984, and you'll be asked a code, and the code is 205-492. Or you can ask it right here on Facebook, and we will try to answer it for you. So, step 4 is invest 15% of your income into retirement.
Yay.
Now, let me ask you,
Fun.
should anybody do this before they finish steps 1, 2, and 3?
No.
No. Okay.
That's
So-
a hard because people want to do it.
Yes.
It's really, especially if you have an employer who's matching funds
I was
and
just
you're
going to
looking,
say that.
It's really hard.
What about even if, I want to be very clear to the listener who's listening, saying, I want to do this. Even if an employer has a 401k and a matching program?
Yes.
Yes, you should, or yes, you should not.
Yes, you should continue to do the steps in order.
So the answer is no, you should not do the 401k with the matching plan until you do get your emergency fund, pay off your debt, and do your 3 to 6 months emergency
fund, right.
Then you can start doing your 401k. Why? Because you can take that money you were going to put into your 401k and you can pay off your debt.
Right, instead of that money, right.
To remove the interest, because while you're paying 401k, taking money out of your paycheck to put into your 401k plan, which is a great idea, but while you're doing that and you still have interest at 8%, 10%, 20%, 21%, well, then you're really wasting all your money.
Right, or no emergency fund. I just see too many people, or so many people access the 401k either through loans or IRAs and cashing them out early because they haven't done the first three steps. So they're, it's a great idea, except that if your money's sitting there and you can't access it and you haven't changed your behavior, you haven't figured out how to get yourself out of debt, what are you going to do when something goes wrong? You haven't built up the emergency fund, then you're taking out, paying penalties, and when you have to access that money early, because your money in an IRA is great, but at 15.5, that's when you get access without penalty. Prior to 15.5, there's a penalty. The IRS charges 10%, and the state of California puts on another 2.5%. So you're paying a 12.5% penalty just to get your money prior to 15.5.
Wow.
So yeah, just do them in order.
So take your money out, do them in
patience.
Order, put them in to pay off your debt, to have no interest, to have your emergency fund, to pay for your emergencies, and then you'll be ready to build it instead of paying other people all your interest.
Right.
Then you can actually save your money that you worked hard for. Because you have to realize that every piece of money that we're talking about is money that you worked hard for.
Yes, and then you can make it up. I mean, if you're putting 15% in your IRA and your 401k, you can make up that time that year or so it took you to pay off the other debt, or that 6 months or 2 years, whatever it is. You can make it up very quickly once you're out of debt.
Very cool. So here's a question for you, John. Should I invest in a Roth or a 401k IRA?
Sure. A lot of times now, people have the option at work to have their work offers a Roth 401k. So that wasn't the case several years ago, but now work offers that many places. So ask your employer.
I didn't know that, to be honest.
Yeah, ask your employer if they offer a Roth 401. So it would depend. Again, every situation is unique, and all the advice I'm giving here is generic, not meant for anyone specifically. If you have specific questions, you should reach out to me afterwards or see a local provider, someone
What's
that's
your
an
website,
expert.
John?
westernstatesfinancial.com, or you can call me at 951-371-7608. I would say a lot depends on your income. So if you have a pretty high income, if you're making over $100,000, depending on your deductions, you probably want to be funding your regular 401k to take a little tax liability off. 43% of Americans filed tax returns in 2015 making less than $30,000. Wow. 43%. So you're not paying taxes anyway, so you should not be funding a 401k at work. So look at your financial situation.
Figure.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a caller.
All right.
So let me just finish the thought, if you can. So if you have, if you're not paying a lot of taxes, you definitely want to be funding the Roth 401 at work. You can put up to $18,500 in your Roth 401. If you're over 50, you can do another $6,000. Now, your money, if you get a match, your money, the matching funds does not go in the Roth side. The matching funds goes in the traditional 401. Okay. So your money will go in the Roth. The matching funds will go in the traditional. So technically, you're building up both, right? So I love that idea, but again, it depends on your financial situation. If your income is where you're not paying a lot of taxes, you have lots of kids, and you have a mortgage, and you've already got a lot of tax deductions, you're not paying a lot of taxes, definitely fund the Roth. If you're in a situation, maybe your kids are grown.
That's great advice, John.
Yeah.
That is great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take the call.
All right. You let me know. Caller, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am on the call.
Reggie.
All right, thanks for taking my call, Tamara. This is Reggie. Hey, John.
Welcome.
Hi, Reggie.
Welcome to God's Amazing Plans radio show. Familiar guest. You're not calling in to compete with my current guest, are you, for being the man that has been returning 3 times, are you?
Oh, no. John is, with his financial background, he is the man. You know, I was just kind of calling him to give him kudos on his knowledge of the finance game there. So,
good. Are you
listening
a great job
today?
There, John. You're listening today?
Yes, I am.
Are you taking notes so we can live in financial peace?
Well, I'm hoping that you are going to take all the notes since you are the financial whiz in our household here, okay?
Reggie, are you using the?
Are you using the? Call in.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Well, I wondered if you're on the 4th or 5th hole of the golf course. Where are you at?
No, not today.
Okay.
I'm at home today, right now.
See, when it rains.
The rain has
that's right. It's raining. I'm sorry.
We don't get along very well. We have too many great days here in Southern California for me to go out in the rain and play golf.
Reggie had some of his besties from the Rams come into town, and they were all going out to hang out, and he was so excited. And it rained, and they were all going. Reggie's like, no. There's too many sunny days in Southern California for me to play in the rain. I don't get wet. If I get wet, I don't play.
Oh yeah.
So what do you want to say, Reggie?
What's your question?
Totally.
Did you call him?
Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Hey, John, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, kind of a hypothetical situation here. There's someone that I know very well, and there's an opportunity for them to actually go out and probably make at least a 6-figure income, you know, maybe for the next 5 years. You know, say right now they aren't doing it now. They're doing something totally different. Now, would you recommend them to actually go and actually take advantage of this opportunity, being that, you know, they can actually do well to actually help their future as far as savings and so forth?
Well, again, lots going to depend on their current financial situation and what God's calling them to do. Years ago, I was involved in ministry work where ministry work was consuming my time, and my family was struggling. I was costing my family financially, and I wasn't taking care of my home. And so if that was a situation where I was in, I would have said, yes, I need to take, in fact, I did. I had to take a step back from ministry and actually put my family in front of ministry, because it's God, family, and then ministry. And so for me, my priorities were a little out of whack, and so I had to go back to focusing on my family and taking care of my family in the future. And so I had to take a step back from ministry. So this person, I would have to, they'd have to need to pray about what God is calling them to do, and where are they at in taking care of their family. Are they the only income, or is their family counting on them, or would this just be, I mean, are we talking about a secondary income where maybe they're already taken care of and they just want to have more? So it's that question.
Yes. So what do you recommend in that situation?
It's the second one?
It's that circumstance. Thank you for calling in, Mr. Reggie Doss. I know exactly who your hypothetical question is about.
Right.
If things are doing well in a family, but you
Right.
have an opportunity to go back, is it smarter at age 53 to go back and work for 5 years or to continue in ministry?
Right. So again, if your family is taken care of and you're doing what God's called you and put you on this earth to do, not everyone is called to go make additional money. There are some people who are called to go do ministry work. I mean, so it would just be a matter of what God's calling you to do. The whole reason that we're doing financial peace and getting finances in order isn't to have a better retirement, to golf more. It isn't to have more money in the bank, to more money. It's not that. It's to really
Serve the Lord.
To serve the Lord, to figure out what your purpose is on earth. Some people, their purpose on earth might be to go make money in finances ministries. So I don't know what their purpose on earth is. So it isn't always serving the Lord could mean different things to different people. Serving the Lord might be going and making $1 million and funding ministry. So that could be their way of serving the Lord that God called them to do. Then God could call someone else to actually stop working and devote more time to doing something else. So it just depends. You really need to get in tune with what God's purpose is in your life. So everyone is called to do something different. We're all not called to quit our jobs and go to Africa and serve in ministry. We're not all called to do that. And we're all not called to focus only on our ministry. Some of us are called to do other things. And ministry is wherever you're at should be your ministry. It isn't just ministry at church.
An organized ministry.
Right. It's ministry every single day. Your ministry should be in your workplace as a teacher, for me as a financial advisor, helping people. My ministry is every single day. Whether I'm at the chamber, whether I'm at my job, wherever you're at, you should be in full-time ministry.
Very good. Did you get your answer, honey?
Okay.
Leave me alone.
That's
No,
a
I'm
good,
just kidding.
that's a good answer. I mean, Tamara, I think you know who we're talking about exactly.
My old bosses have come back at me another time with a very exciting thing, and it is tempting.
Yes.
It really is tempting, but I just don't feel like God is calling me there.
Yep. Because some people are called to make money and support ministry that way. So it isn't all. That's why you got to be careful in assuming everyone's calling is the same. It's not. Everyone's calling is different, and so that's why everyone has to pray about. John Maxwell in Intentional Living, the class I took with Blanca Cisneros in her ministry, Free to Be. One of the things he asked, he said, to find out your true purpose in life, you need to ask. He asked 3 questions. 1, what makes you cry? So what hurts you? Number 2, what makes you sing? What gives you joy? Number 3, what do you dream about? And then between those 3 questions and what you're good at, what God's blessed you with, and your talents, somewhere you'll find your sweet spot in what God's called you to do. And so I told last night was the last class in teaching financial peace. My whole goal in teaching financial peace isn't so they'll have more money. My goal in financial peace is so they can focus on what God put them on this earth to do. And if you're trying to survive, you're not thinking about what God put you on this earth to do. So ultimately, it comes down to that. What is your purpose for being on this earth? What are you called to do? What does God want you to do? Get yourself out of the way and be praying about what does God want you to do. And that may get you uncomfortable. That may be something like that. And so that's okay. What does God put you on this earth to do?
Amen. Well, I hope that lesson applied to other people and got to hear that as well, because it is a question that we have to ask ourselves. Thank you so much. Don't forget to do the dishes.
Thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Boom, boom, boom.
All right, take care.
All right, buddy. Love you.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
He loves you, so do I.
All right, John. Take care, buddy. Great job.
Very good. So before Reg called in, we were talking about the Roth IRA versus the traditional 401k.
Sure.
That was really good information.
Yes, absolutely. So not every employer offers that. Not every 401k plan has that. So find out if your 401k plan has it. And if you're in a situation where you can do that, that's great. The other thing is if you're looking at 15% of your income, sometimes your matching funds at your job will only be a certain amount. And so then you can go outside for some people, depending on your income, you can go outside and fund a Roth or something else on the outside of your employment. Sometimes you can do it right through your job, though, if you have that ability. So if you make one of the advantages of having a 401 at work is it allows you to put more money in there. So if I'm self-employed and I just have a traditional IRA, I can only put in at my age, I'm over 50, $6,500, unless I do a SEP or some other things like that. So that's all I can do is $6,500 between my Roth and my IRA combined. and Marlene can do the same. So that's not a lot of money to put toward your retirement. It may not be 15%, so you got to find other ways to get up to the 15%.
Very good.
Correct. So
here's what I want to do. We're going to take another break because we do have sponsors and want to give the promotion of those opportunities. So we're going to be right back. Don't go away. Another great opportunity while you're on break, listening to our commercials and music, to share this with somebody else, because we still have a good 50 minutes together. And we're going to talk a little bit more about learning to save for college for the kids, to pay off your mortgage, to build your wealth so that you can give like nobody else. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hey guys, I want to thank and introduce you to my friends down at Animal Medical Center of Corona. Dr. Bart and his crew down there have believed in Hope Radio 247.com since the very beginning, and they have been one of our very first sponsors at our very brand new radio station. So, if you guys are looking for a little modern medicine with old-fashioned care, go see Dr. Bart at 91 East Grand Boulevard, right here in Corona. Tell them Sean sent you. Their telephone number is 951-493-6771. Again, their address is 91 East Grand Boulevard, Corona, California. Telephone number 951-493-6771. And like I said, tell them Sean sent you. Godspeed, my friends.
Q the Music Entertainment provides professional entertainment for your weddings, birthdays and anniversary parties, retirement parties, holiday parties, bar and bat mitzvahs and quinceañeras, debutante balls, graduation parties, welcome home parties, and so much more that include DJ, hosting, special lighting, and even a photo booth. Serving the Inland Empire, Los Angeles, Orange, and San Diego counties, contact us today at 888-580-7979 or 714-865-5086. And make sure to visit our website at www.theletterqthemusicdj.com. That's www.theletterqthemusicdj.com. Because when it's time to celebrate, it's time to cue the music.
Hi, this is Joe Weisner. I'm a volunteer here at Hope Recovery Center, and you are listening to Hope Radio 24/7.
What up, everyone? This is Ramon with Epic Thoughts and Hope Lounge on Hope Radio 24/7. And attention all you artists, musicians, and producers. We have a brand new opportunity for you here at Hope Recovery Center. We have our very own studio. That's right. We have a studio where people could come in and record their greatest music and explore their ministry in the arts. And for the month of February, for this month only, we are having a special for anybody who wants to come use the studio. We're having a one-time special for the month of February, 2 hours for $125. That's right, you get a full recording for a 2-hour minimum of $125. For more information, email me at hopestudio@hoperecoverycenterinc.org.
You're listening to Hope Radio 247.com, bringing you the hope of Jesus Christ.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard.
And we are back in studio here at God's Amazing Plans Radio Show, and I'm Tamara Dosh, your hostess and warrior princess. And sitting in front of me is Mr. John Weyhandt, the executive director founder at Western States Financial Group here in Corona, California. And we have been discussing the steps of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University and how to help people live in true financial peace. And so before the commercial break, we were talking a little bit about the IRA. 15% of your income should go into investment and for retirement, which is step 4 of Dave Ramsey's plan. and he was answering some phenomenal questions. So here's our next question for those of you that are listening. John, what is the difference in a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA?
Right. So a traditional IRA or a 401k, most people think about it, you're given a tax advantage on the way in. So basically with our tax rules the way they are now, if you invest in a 401 at work, let's say you have a job or you're not working at a place that offers a 401, you do an IRA. Some people even ask me, can I do a retirement account when my employer doesn't offer it? Absolutely. You can see an advisor. They can put money in. At the end of the year, what they do is you take that income. If you do a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, is that income comes right off the top. So if you're making $50,000 a year and you invest $5,000 in your IRA or $5,000 in your 401k, then that reduces your income by $5,000. You're only taxed on that now. Now, when you access the money later on, it's going to be taxed. So you've not paid the taxes now. You've taken a tax advantage now. You're postponing your tax liability now. The true word would be postponing. You're postponing your tax liability now until you take the money out. A Roth works the opposite. There is no tax advantages today, but what you're doing is you're going to get all the tax advantages when you pull the money out. So a Roth IRA, and the reason Dave Ramsey is such a big fan, is that the Roth grows tax-free, withdraws tax-free, and then when you pass away, the money goes tax-free to your children. So it's a great investment tool. And if you don't need the tax advantages today, fund the Roth. I believe that's a great thing because tax-free money when you're retired, when the government needs to raise taxes potentially to pay all this debt that we have and the deficit and all the other things that we're offering that we can't pay for. State of California has a huge locomotive train coming down the tracks that we have no way to address, which is our CalPERS pension. And so that's causing every city that a huge amount of money. Our city alone has got $20 million a year in unfunded liability for that right now, and that's going to grow as time goes on. Wow. So we've got to fix that problem, and right now there's not a lot of solutions on that. So you get me started on the whole thing with CalPERS and their board. So, but it's and we're not talking about the people that are doing it. It's not their fault necessarily, but the program, the pensions that the state committed to, that was supposed to cost taxpayers zero, is now huge. They're in 11 years from having a surplus. In 11 years, once they changed things, they had an $18 billion deficit, and it's worse now. And so every city that pays into CalPERS has to come up with money. They don't have a choice, and if CalPERS doesn't earn money, the taxpayers were making it up.
I was just going to say, and where are they going to get it? Taxes.
Yep. So at some point, taxes. And services are going to be cut, and you're going to actually see probably in cities where they're going to have to cut the safety services even. Wow. So it's going to be part of what we have to deal with, but it's got to be addressed, and we've got to figure a way to take care of that. So
in conclusion, on the Roth IRA versus the traditional IRA, if you have no tax liabilities.
Right, or you want to bite the bullet a little bit today. It's okay to bite the bullet a little bit and say, I'm going to pay a little bit of taxes now. But again, if you're making, a larger income over six figures, maybe your kids are grown, you don't have a lot of deductions, you really do need to think about, taking some of that. But the reality is with the tax rules, we're in historically low tax liability right now. So we all should be thinking about funding.
This is actually a good time.
Yes, it's a very good time to be funding Roths.
On a tax end, it really is a good time.
It's really a good time to be funding.
Point, actually.
Yes, it's a really good time to be funding something tax-free. So Roths are a great tool right now.
Very good. And you answered the question about investing. Can you invest in an IRA outside of your employer? And the answer is absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
Find yourself an advisor like Mr. John Weyhandt.
Yes. There you go.
Yes, find one and get personal consultation. One of the things I loved that you said when you were here last time, and you may have said it this time too, but is that, this is just general information, but if you're really going to create a financial plan for your life, you need it customized according to your plan.
Yes.
What your goals are, what your future is, what your current circumstances is, what your past is. And so, you can't just take like a piece of information that sounded really good and apply it to your life.
Right.
You have to have it customized according to your plan.
Yep, absolutely.
And so get yourself a great financial planner. I highly recommend Mr. John Weyhandt here in Western States Financial in Corona, California. And again, if you're listening from abroad and not within 30 60-mile radius to get here, he can do online. We talked about that last time. He can still help.
Yes.
And I'm sure he would even be willing to come to you a little bit.
Yes, and it's really behavior. I mean, even but most people, their problem isn't their portfolio, their investments. Their problem is behavior. In February, we had a correction in the market, whatever you want to call it. There was a week when the market was down 10%, and the robo advisors, the Fidelities, the Betterments, all their websites, a lot of them crashed because people were panicking and already moving their money, and that's not what you do. Is you don't just turn around and move your money. And again, we're not geared up to make money in investments, and the average person doesn't do very well when it comes to stocks because our tendency is to sell when things are low and buy when they're high, instead of the correct way, which is to buy low and sell high. So, but we're not really geared up that way, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard
because of fear.
Yes, fear, panic, the media, all our emotions that come into play, right? So our instincts, our emotions, our all those things fight against what we should do, which is prudent investing, which is what Dave Ramsey teaches. Think long term. The tortoise wins the race. Focus on the long term. Stay the course. All those things, but that's not easy when everybody on the television is telling you change, move. Do all these things. Panic, yes, fear. So again, our instincts, we want to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And so that doesn't do well when the market's adjusting. We want to, get away from that. And there was a great example, I think it was in 08. If you followed your instincts, it cost you dearly. If you pulled out of the market when the market was down, now the market's up 300%. Some indexes are high.
Oh, my goodness.
And some people didn't get that, because of different things. So even people anticipating where they think they can time the market, people that pulled their money out of the market before the election. In the last quarter of 16, you've got 2 years' worth of returns in one quarter. People didn't get it because they were out of the market. And then, now I'm going to jump back in. Well,
yeah, you missed that.
Yes, it's hard.
Yeah, I'm really happy with my investments in 401k.
You should
How
be.
about you?
Yes, you should be. They're looking good. But you want to make sure they're diversified. Again, Dave Ramsey talks about, the Bible talks about diversification. A lot of them can look really good, but they might not be diversified.
Yeah.
Because they could be all in large U.S. companies, which look great now, but maybe in the last few days with the tariffs and all the things going on, that's why you need to be diversified in different things. So not even just in stocks, but your investment portfolio should include other things. So that's why you want to be looking at different things and making sure that you're diversified, which is just, again, don't put all your eggs in one basket, in a simpler approach.
Right.
It's just don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be diversified, think long term, which is, what I look for is low cost, low turnover, which keeps your cost down, highly diversified, so we're not moving people's money, and just think long term. And that's what I do, is try to coach behavior. Think long term, don't panic, don't be thinking about moving. We're in for the long haul. Let's be thinking long term.
Very good. Check the emotion on the short-term plan. So step 4, invest 15% of your income. Okay?
Yes.
So step 5, we're going to move on to step 5.
In retirement.
In retirement.
Yes. Retirement accounts.
So step 5, save for your children's college education using tax-favored plans.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So there's different plans out there. Dave Ramsey talks about, I think, 3 of them, which is your college savings accounts, which have limits on it. There's 529s, which he talks about. And I think there's also what they call UGMAs, which those also have limits on what you can do. There's pros and cons of all those different things. Again, you want to talk to someone, an expert in that, but there's ways that you can fund those things for college. And it isn't, that's one great step. Start putting that money away. Now, if your kids are already grown, you don't have to worry about it. That gives you more money to either put in your retirement if you're behind, or to think about going to the next step, depending on where you're at. But it gives you that option to do. And if your kids are younger or not there, again, people get in a mistake here where they think, my kids are almost there, I better skip step 4.
That was my question I was about to ask. A great question. So let me ask the full question. What if, because this really relates to me.
Yeah.
So what if your children are 14 years old? Should you just go ahead and skip the investing part and move on to the college saving plan?
Yeah, absolutely not. No,
absolutely not.
No, you stay the course. Again, because when the plane is going down, you put the mask on yourself first. You've got to take care of yourself. So I see a lot of people.
I love that.
They've helped their kids, and so they're funding their kids.
Retirement.
And I've seen people take their retirement out to put their kids through college. And again, college tuition loans are it's a supply and demand thing. So tuitions are way up because the money has been easy to get for college. So you can access loans has been very easy. So universities are smart. When there's a waiting list and people have money to pay, you raise your prices. Universities have done very well over the last 10, 20 years. As money's been more available for college, tuitions have gone through the roof.
Yep.
And so is student debt.
Yep.
$1.6 trillion. Now, what I found interesting is when you study that, which is a lot more than even credit card debt. Credit card debt is maybe $1 trillion. So, I mean, we're talking an additional 50% more, 60% more is student loans. What I found interesting when you study that is that most of the debt, the majority of it, is on not just your 4-year degree, but in advanced degrees, masters and
really,
yes, and so that's where more of the debt is incurred. A larger percentage of that debt is incurred. So you just got to make some common sense things. Yes, you want to help your kids save, but also when you go to college, you want to make some common sense decisions. Let's say you're behind, you still put in your money in your retirement account first and then to the college. So let's just take a step back here. I'm tithing to my church. I'm tithing 10%. Now I'm investing 15%. I'm paying my taxes, and now another 15%. Well, I'm over 50% of my income. I'm living on I'm living on a lot less of my income, right? So as my income goes up, my lifestyle is not changing. The idea is that I'm putting money here. So you have to think about some common sense things when it comes to your kids' education. Where do I want to do? Do I want to go to a 2-year college
yes, I was
first?
Just going to talk about that.
So that's
the community colleges. I know Dave really actually encourages that.
Yes.
Actually, and his daughter was speaking about that, how important it is to start and get your general ed at a community college and then move forward.
Yeah. We've got great community colleges, and so do that. So
as well as always go to the in-state. If at all possible, always try to get your education in the in-state. And, I don't know why, but honestly, it was FPU that helped me to actually get that in perspective. Maybe because I'm a parent. Maybe I care more now than I did when I was a kid. But it really helped me to understand that, that's really where I'm going to start encouraging them to go. I mean, it made so much sense.
Right.
In that step of the education.
Yes.
That why would you waste, people think they want to go to these prestigious schools by name, but you're really going for the, is going and getting that prestigious name really going to impact you long-term financially? Yes, in some instances, yes.
You have to weigh that out,
but
right?
not always.
Right.
Because you want to get the fundamental education and the opportunity, but you also want to be able to save financially to prepare, because would you say what was the trillion debt for
1.6?
Thank you. 1.6 of all those people that are following that path and plan. And do you know the percentage of people that never get out of their student debt?
I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot.
It's huge.
So one thing to think about when you have a child out of state too.
Yes, you have one.
Because I have
You're
one.
Speaking.
Is you forget, because she got scholarship, so we thought that was great. We thought that sending
Cover
her,
it all.
Yeah, but you have to bring them home and you have to take them to school, and that's an added cost.
Yes.
And if where my daughter's at school, it's a very isolated area, so then you have to get them a car and car insurance, and so there's a lot of extra expenses that you really have to look into to.
That's true.
Yeah.
You don't think about them.
That's true. My cousin, her son went to the East Coast, and it was just so awesome. But she was sharing with me that, they go to support his sporting, and they go to encourage him and hang out. And she's like, it's getting expensive to fly back and forth if you take 1, 2, 3 people. 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. It gets expensive. Yeah. And so, anyway.
Well, I have clients, and I have people that are $200,000 in student loan debt. Making $70,000 a year, some less. Husband and wife with $400,000 in student loan debt. The minimum payment, even with the programs where you're making less than, because your income is low and you're making a lower payment, the interest is not affected. The interest is still high. So it's not like when I was younger thinking, your interest rate's only 1 or 2%. No, these people are paying 6, 7, 8, 9% interest on these student loans. And so if let's just hypothetically say, your minimum payment's only $300, that means your loan balance is going up every month. So there's a lot of people with those loan balances going higher and higher and higher. So as Dave Ramsey's daughter Rachel was talking about, you got to look at, obviously grants, and you got to spend some time on this. You got to look for options that are going to keep it lower. again, you don't want your kids to work full time while they're in school, but you've got to make sure that there's some common sense going to a junior college. My nephew is going to JFK here in town, over here in the school district here, Corona North Unified. He'll be graduating with an AA from high school. So he'll have his AA going, so he'll actually be ready to go. Now, there's pros and cons of all that too.
Right.
So it's not for everyone, but he's planning on graduating high school with his AA because he's got classes, and so that's a great program for kids that want to do that. So there's options out there that you can look at and address and keep those costs lower. The other thing is some of these schools that you go to, you got to look at, do your homework on how hireable you are when you're done. A friend of mine was teaching an art school, and he got fired because he was telling the kids that, listen, you're going to graduate with $100,000 in debt. You want to make sure that most of you are not going to have a job that's going to support that. And here he is with his degree teaching, making very little money, and just warning him, listen, you're going to have a hard time paying that $100,000 in tuition. You're going to have a hard time paying the student loans. Yes.
And he gets fired.
He didn't work there very long after that. Yeah. But because some of these schools are there to make money, and some got in trouble because they were making all these promises of what you were going to make when you're done. I'm not talking about your standard 4 universities, and again, some are like that too. You got to be careful. I've heard some really bad advice from people, some of the people that are in sales, on selling online courses, online classes, and tuition, where people are getting in these huge student loans and
let's
things.
not forget, because if you're living by this plan, you have to pay your student debt loan off before you invest, technically.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to get yourself in there. But as far as saving for college, so you have the options of saving, but also, as John was saying, and Rachel, and myself, that you also want to think logically. Don't always think with your heart, about the emotion of where I want to go and what I want. But logically, so tie in your dream and aspiration also with the practical sense of what does this look like long term for me?
Yes. What am I going to get a degree in? Is that going to actually translate to a job that is going to pay me and help me fulfill my purpose in life?
So I have a question.
A lot of people with degrees that are not going to pay anything.
Exactly. And so I have a question for you, because I know a lot of people, and because honestly, we haven't been doing too good of a job saving for college, to be honest. A small amount, but not a lot when you think of 3 boys going out. And I know a lot of friends, and it's crossed my head, do you pull out on your mortgage to pay for college? I have a lot of friends that have taken out a mortgage.
Wow.
Taken out against their mortgage to pay for college. Well, by that, wow, I think I know that answer.
Wow.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because I don't know. Do you know people? Because I know a lot. Exactly.
Yeah, or if
I know a lot of people.
I know more people that have sacrificed their own retirement than just pulled out of the house. I mean,
I know a lot of people that have taken mortgage out for college.
Wow, I would never recommend that. Again, I see the temptation when you're looking at student loans at 7, 8, 9%, committing to that, and then looking at a mortgage at 4.5% or whatever it is, and the temptation is to go do that, especially in California, where, let's face it, at times our equity is going up faster than a lot of areas.
Right.
But you got to take a long-term approach. I mean, my house that I'm in now is still worth less than it was in 06. Still worth less. For most Californians, our homes are still worth less or about the same as they were in 06. So even saying, a house is always a great investment, it isn't always a short, long-term, probably. It's not always a great short-term investment. We don't know what's going to happen in the short term. So we don't know if interest rates continue to rise, which they have been. That's going to make it harder to purchase these high-priced homes in California. So who knows how that's going to affect, right? We don't know. Jobs are doing well, but there's always going to be changes in the economy, ebbs and flow. That's why you're saving for emergencies. That's why you're living on less than you make. That's why you're doing the important things like that. And even the ants save in the summer for the winter months. We should all be doing that. And that's what Dave Ramsey is teaching, because we don't know this stock market going up. It's not going to always go straight up. The real estate's not going to always go straight up. We're going to have corrections. And if you've taken money out of your house, and who knows what that's going to be like. And then the potential for tax rules changed. HELOCs are no longer deductible. So I would definitely caution people and recommend that. I don't recommend that they do that. Dave Ramsey would be a little more intense about it, saying no, don't do it. That's a big mistake. But definitely, I would not take out. There's so many other options to look at before you take out money out of your home and pay off and pay for student loans and pay for college. So I know we always want to do the best for our kids, but we've got to be cautious in that.
So what is better, a student loan, mortgage, or what other option is there? If you can't get a grant, a scholarship, something like that. If you actually have to finance for a kid's college, what are your options? I mean, saving today is your best plan.
Sure.
Starting to put away so that you save it, so that your obligation is minimal when you have to get to that point. But
yeah, there's probably some combination. I mean, I would that is going.
Yeah, statistically speaking, though, probably many people aren't saving. So when they get to that situation, what is really their best option?
So again, you don't solve a problem typically with one solution. So it's again going into it with all these solutions, saving a little, working through it, taking some type of job, trying to go in with the least amount of student loans as you can, and then obviously studying
the job,
something.
Putting your kids getting
having them work a job a little bit while they're in school.
Say that one a couple more times.
Yeah. So
and that is hard because you don't want to impact their education, and yet you also got to teach them the hard knocks of life and the reality of what's going to face them after school.
Yeah, most of them aren't studying 24/7. I mean, again, there's time.
No, there's plenty
so
of
they're
time
going to have to work.
out.
Yes, there's exactly. So working a part-time job or
see, but I have a mom back there. I have a mom back there who's in this situation right now.
I am, and
so I saw you going, but it's hard to have your kid go work.
Well, no. Well, my daughter actually, she goes to school in Oklahoma, and so she doesn't have a car yet, but we do have to get her one because she's got a job next year, but it's 30 miles away. But she's I know she's gotten scholarships and she's on the school work program, so she gets more scholarships.
Right.
But literally, because I talk to her every morning when she starts her day, she starts her day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she's still coming back from her school things at 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and then she's doing homework. So, so working is very difficult for her. She does, because she's a music education major, she does do private lessons on her weekends. But again, she's still very limited.
Yeah, it was the school work programs is more what I'm thinking about. I do have a friend of ours, her daughter is at UCLA, and she is a dorm, whatever they call it. She oversees a dorm, supervisor. So she's been able to keep her board and care at low cost or no cost for the last few years. So that's made a huge difference in her ability to graduate with less student loans. So she had a scholarship plus the fact that she was able to do that, and so she was able to keep her student loans at such a minimum comparatively.
Wow.
And so she'll graduate, I believe, this year or next year with very little student loans, and with a 4-year degree from UCLA. So that's going to be amazing.
That's
But
awesome.
she had to sacrifice because when she could have been out playing around doing stuff, she had to be there at the dorm and being a dorm
and
supervisor.
Isn't that really, honestly, in my opinion, that is so much more of a valuable lesson long term than any amount of education you can get.
Right.
Really, the real life education, because it applies to the job.
Yes.
It applies to life. It applies to finance. It applies to family. So.
But it's
all right, kiddos in the DOS household. I hope you'll be listening to this show at some point, and so let's put that on your agenda.
It's all delayed gratification.
And we can save for it, but you can even start now and save a little for it, and then you can work during it. Well, it's true, though.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I worked all through high school. I worked all through college.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I
did. I did.
Yeah.
I did. I worked all through high school and all through.
Yeah, I agree. I think
college.
there's nothing wrong with that. Again, limiting it because you don't want it to affect your schooling, and there'll be times when it's more demanding than others. So you've got to be careful on that. There'll be classes that you take that are going to be more intense. So obviously, everything we got to personalize it. Everything's got to be
customized.
Yep.
Well,
so that
we've kind of been fortunate too, because when she comes home, it's summer and winter. They've been letting her take classes here, so then we don't have to pay the extra cost for the dorm and the food and things because we can do it here. So I mean, we've been fortunate in that aspect, but it's and I will say we did start saving when they were born, but I mean it was minimal. We didn't expect college to cost this much, and we've got 4 kids that are going through college.
Right.
But
wow.
But yeah.
yeah, but it's again,
Each
it's looking
child is
for
different.
options. Yeah, look for options, and without without the idea of, it doesn't matter what the student loan is, we'll make plenty of money to pay it. You don't want to be thinking like that. You want to be thinking, how can we minimize it? And just, again, be careful with these secondary educations. That's when most of the student loan debt is incurred. Getting that, I got a ride to the airport when I was heading off to Oregon. The lady driving it has $200,000 in student loan, getting her doctor's degree in her late 50s.
Oh, wow.
And so what are you going to do with that doctorate degree?
Wow.
So there needs to be some common sense. I think some people have postponed getting on in life and getting a job by continuing going for education forever. So again, everything needs to be considered when you're looking at doing these things. So
wow.
So we've got 15% of your retirement before you do the college, then you start funding the college, and then you can go on to the next step. But again, it's saving for college, and it's also looking at making some common sense just choices. Like anything in life, it's making common sense choices.
So you really start planning for steps 4, 5, 6. We're getting ready to go on to 6 and then 7. And then you realize why it really is important to change your spending habits.
Yes.
No, really, because, most of America is living paycheck to paycheck. And so these concepts are so foreign to them, and yet we're all going to be in these circumstances.
Yes.
We're all going to find ourselves facing these circumstances and situations, and we got to be prepared. So it really does begin with recreating or modifying our current behaviors.
Right.
Taking a look at our current behaviors, because if we never change the source of the behavior, we're never really going to be able to apply any of these lessons.
Right.
It's the truth.
Yes.
Because 15% investment seems like, oh, I need this for this, and saving for college seems like, oh, no, I need this for this. And then our next subject, step 6 in the plan, is to pay off your mortgage.
Right.
And, I have to say that I probably am one of these people that until I took Financial Peace University, I never really thought of it seriously. And I never really conceived of it as that was debt-free, that everybody has a mortgage always.
Right.
I don't know if it's just kind of what I was brought up in, or most of the people don't ever pay off their mortgage, but I mean, very few people really pay off their mortgage.
Well, the statistics, I think the statistics would probably surprise you. In many parts of the country, mortgage being paid off is more common than here.
Really?
Yeah. It's.
Do you have some statistics?
No, I can look them up, but I mean, there's a huge amount of home equity in this country. I mean, huge amount. So there's a lot of middle America, so to speak, their homes are paid off. I mean, and I can look it up, but we had one last night in our class. Our class ended. One person in our financial peace class paid off their mortgage. So that was a pretty cool thing to have happen. And so, again, the main thing is not doing it out of order. I've seen mistakes. People either get in a hurry to pay off their mortgage before they're doing the other. And so even like what you're talking about, saving for college, I mean, you're living on a lot less than you're making if you're doing everything right. You're tithing, you're paying your taxes.
Your income is truly reduced.
Yes, exactly. And so, especially in California, when we're talking about, the average priced home in Corona is what, $450? Yeah, I mean, in Riverside it's $400, whatever. So it's not $150. So it's a little harder to.
That's what I was thinking when you were saying Midwest. I was like, I wonder what those mortgages are on the percentage that are being paid off. At what amount is that balance? What was that balance?
Right. And so that's where you've got to, again, do it in the right order. Don't be, and some people are trying to save to pay cash for a house, the 100%. And I've known people that have been saving for that for 8 years, still haven't bought. And so it's hard to do that in California when you're trying to do that to pay cash for a house that keeps going up. So you need to buy probably once you do the other steps and you get in there. Because in this, you haven't talked about some of the other things. Dave Ramsey, what is it? Step 3B or whatever is to save for the house. Even while you're putting money away and while you're doing that. So that's another one to try to do, and putting in 20% down or 10% down, whatever. In his example, he shows you can do it with 10% down. He discourages FHA financing. He wants you to put larger down payment to avoid the mortgage insurance. Again, I sit with people, personalize it. So show me if you're having a situation where you can avoid paying rent and save up that 20%, great. But that's not the case for a lot of people. Some people are paying rent that's equivalent or more than their mortgage payment will be. And so then I do look at, okay.
That's no joke. That's happening a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm always surprised at how much people are paying for rent.
Yeah, so you've got to look at it. If you've already got a couple kids and your rent is $2,000 or $2,500, and you can mortgage maybe less, sometimes I look at them and let's say, okay, let's see how we can save 20%. If I never see that happening when their plan is, sometimes we do talk about getting in with an FHA loan and putting 3.5%, 4%, 5% down and getting in the house if the rent's going to be the same anyway. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
You know, if we have no plan to put 20% down. Now, if there's a way to move in with parents or rent is a lot cheaper. I had someone who was renting a house from his parents. The rent was $1,000, so he was able to save. Okay, great. But that's not always the case.
I wish I had that plan.
Yes.
I don't have that plan.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So again, every situation's different. We want you to put that nice large down payment, avoid the mortgage insurance, because FHA loans now, mortgage insurance is for the life of the loan. It's not for 5 years like it used to be. Mortgage insurance, MIP on FHA loans is permanent. So the only way to get rid of the mortgage insurance on an FHA is to refinance and get rid of the FHA.
Right.
So, and that takes time, especially if the values don't continue to go up at the same pace. I can't tell people, oh, you hear some people, in 1 year refinance and get out of it. That doesn't always work. It depends on the values.
I actually did do that in our new home. We refinanced. What is it? Like you have to have it for 16 months?
To refinance?
Yeah. You have to pay the mortgage insurance for so long before you can actually refi. And so we refied immediately upon it. And we saved like $500 a month just by doing that immediately.
It was an FHA loan, but starter or conventional?
But you have to stay on it. Conventional.
Yeah. So that's the conventional is different to get out of it. FHA, if you have an FHA loan, the equity's there. You could refinance 1 month in if you had the equity.
No, we had to have a certain amount, and we did it immediately. Of course, then we won't talk about my own personal business, but what we did with the 500 savings, you know what I mean?
Right. Then you can pay off debt and do other things and stuff. Right.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to do with it.
Exactly.
Pay extra on the mortgage. So again, if you're doing the steps in the right order, I had someone come to me and they didn't understand the Dave Ramsey steps, and so they were paying extra $1,000 on their mortgage, but they didn't have they weren't doing the other things, and so they lost their house after they paid 18 months.
Sir.
Yeah, when the economy hit, his job, lost his job, didn't have the emergency fund. He missed a mortgage payment, so when he went to go to refinance it, he had bad credit and ended up losing his house.
Couldn't he have sold the house? Was it upside down?
Yeah, I mean, he probably could have sold it. I mean, but
you get in that situation, you start thinking emotionally, you can't panic. Oh, that breaks my heart. This is why this information is so important.
So that's why you do them in the right order, because it can get you messed up. You have to have the emergency fund. You have to have those things. And someone had asked, should I use my credit cards as emergency fund? No, that's the reason we're saving the emergency money. Is at the beginning you're using your credit cards.
You shouldn't have a credit card.
At the beginning you're using your credit cards for that, but no, the idea is to save up, get rid of the credit cards, and use the savings, your emergency money there. And so that's where your emergency fund is, not on the 0% credit cards. Yeah. So very few people work the credit cards.
You really shouldn't have credit cards. The whole goal in FPU is to cut up and destroy all credit cards.
Right.
And I know, Mom, I hate to throw you under the bus there, but this last time I made her give me her credit cards and cut them up, and she was so mad at me for a while. But you know what? Then you start learning to live with it, and because you don't need the credit once it's so available, you do use it. And I got 2 right here, but these are debit, only debit, no credit for me. So I at least practice what I preach.
There you go.
No.
So I pulled up a thing, and again, statistics are different, but how many people have their mortgages paid off? And so trying to get a statistic on that.
Not more than 10%.
Owner occupied without a mortgage, almost 19.9%.
20%.
And this was in 2013.
Well, that is such a great statistic. The 20/80 rule, right there.
There you go, huh?
The 20/80 rule, and you just proved it.
Mm-hmm.
So
So there's a lot of people that do have that, and especially.
I want to be one of the 20.
Absolutely, and there's people out here that have it. I mean, there's people that have their mortgages paid off, and it's a great thing. So, but it is probably more like a 20%. Maybe out here, maybe a little bit less, but it's probably close to that. I'm just thinking about my own clients. There's probably 10 to 20% that have their mortgages, no mortgages. So.
And obviously in California, it is harder because your loan is traditionally 3 times greater than the average, and that 150,000. I don't know any 150,000 homes around here. Do you?
No, not anymore.
I do my rental, but that's because I bought it way back.
Right. Exactly.
I bought it way back, so it's low. But you ain't gonna buy a new house at that price. If only then I knew what I know now, I'd have bought me 4 or 5 of those houses.
Yeah. No, it is. It's exactly. It's hard to do that. So, And so, my daughter bought her condo, and it was 150 some thousand instead of 50 some thousand. It's worth almost double that now. She bought 8 years ago, so it's great. And if you can get in there, that's why even with the new tax rules where they say that it is not going to be as big an incentive to buy, you're not buying just for the tax advantage. You really want to get that fixed rate mortgage and own something, have a pride of ownership, and rent's going to keep going up. And so you'll have a fixed rate mortgage, and so you'll have that, and eventually you have that paid off. Again, the other thing in California, do you get a 15-year loan?
That's what I was going to just talk about.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Should people refinance to a 15-year loan?
If you've done all the other steps and you've got the reserve and things, I'm more of a fan of just taking your 15-year, your 30-year, and paying it off in the 15 without the refinancing.
Putting the extra on it.
Yeah, and you can do that, and you can do the same thing. Only just because I know that how many people how situations change. But if you've done the other steps and you've got stability and everything, then I have no issue with it.
Because it's a lower interest, so you are saving money long term, but it's a higher payment.
Correct.
And then if circumstances come your way,
right, which Dave Ramsey says they always do.
They always do.
Yep, they always come your way. So, but again, if you're putting 15% in your retirement, 15% here, then you're doing on that. But Dave Ramsey talks about buying in on a 15-year loan. And most people around here wouldn't be able to even buy by getting a 15-year loan because of the prices. But again, remember, in 2015, 43% of Americans made less than $30,000.
Say that 40%.
43%.
43%
adjusted gross income
than $30,000.
Right.
Wow.
I know. So
no wonder we're in financial trouble.
Paying zero taxes. Wow. Zero.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
It really is staggering when you see that.
I'm blown away at it. I guess I didn't even think about the whole taxes thing. Yeah. What I'm thinking is, how are they living? Not to mention, how are they living? But they're probably living on credit cards.
Some on credit cards, some on Social Security, some on fixed income, some on the government assistance. There could be different things. They could be living with a home free and clear, and they don't need the money.
Well, that's
true.
So,
there's every situation in there.
I guess I fall into that, don't I?
Yeah.
So when I think about it.
There's a lot of different situations, right?
Actually, that's me now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Right. So there's a lot of different situations. So if they, for example, they're in an area where their home's free and clear, and they're living on Social Security, and their Social Security is less than that, they, their income, they might be okay. I'm not saying that they're living an extravagant lifestyle, but they're living debt free. And then
well.
A lot of people, if you follow Dave Ramsey, people are making. He talks about people that make $40,000 a year that are millionaires because they're following the steps and putting their money away. Now, it's not easy doing that way, but again, it's not a short term. This is not a short term answer. It's a lifelong commitment to living God's way. It's a lifelong commitment to being. Again, you're going to make mistakes. That's okay. You don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You get back on track. If you have a bad weekend on your diet, you don't give up and quit for life. You get back on the saddle, and back to a healthy lifestyle. Same thing when it comes to your budget. If you have a bad weekend or make a bad purchase or have a mistake, it's okay. You don't have to just give up on it. And again, people just went through 9 weeks of Financial Peace University. They're not going to live perfect for the rest of their lives.
No,
they're going to make mistakes, and so
and they're going to
it's
always
okay.
have to revert. Sometimes you might have to revert back to a former step.
Yes, I've made mistakes in plenty of them.
Yes.
So I've gone back and regressed on it and things.
Right,
and
you
so
have to go back and start back at whatever step you're at until you get back up.
It's okay.
And you know what What I love about it is when we can really apply these 7 steps, or even the first 3 for that matter, when we can really apply these steps, we're actually teaching the future generations the most important lesson that they could ever get is how to be a good steward of God's money.
Absolutely.
Because I think everything ties into it. And so we're going to just quickly touch on step 7, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about, today is actually day 9 of my 30-day challenge. And I think it ties in so great. God always does this because day 9 of the challenge is called Search Your Heart for All Things Not of God. Okay. And so I think that this is so important on your finances. Searching your heart for all things not of God, where to spend your money, how to spend your money, why to spend it, and when to spend it.
Right.
And always letting God search your heart for all things that are not of God.
Sure.
It's critical in creating a firm foundation in your life, in your spiritual walk, in your emotional walk, and in your financial walk today.
And step 7 is build wealth.
Yes, let's
and give.
talk a little bit about 7.
Yeah.
So
build
we can
wealth
really do that.
And give.
Yes.
So you're able to give because you're debt free, no mortgage. You're probably, if you're working, you're putting Now you're maxing out your 401, so you're probably putting in your 18,500 or 24,000 in your 401. You're maxing it out, and you're able to give. You're able to support other ministries. You're able to do things. You're able to support a ministry like yours, so that you can sacrifice your finances. You're sacrificing your future finances, right? You're turning down that six-figure job because God's called you for something else. And so we need people that have taken the other path, that are working hard and making 100, 200, 300,000 a year. Those people that can support people like you that are out in the trenches doing the work every single day. And so whether business owners or people that have good jobs, good pensions, they need to be supporting people that are in the ministry. They need to be tithing at their church. They need to be looking for opportunities to support people that, and pray about where's God calling them to give and support people doing the work. Because the people, as Dave Ramsey says, most pastors in this country are underpaid. Most people doing ministry work. I see people like yourself that are running nonprofits and doing work that are taking zero or pennies, right, and sacrificing their retirement and that for that. So the rest of us who still work and are funding things need to step up and do things, support Hope Recovery and support these nonprofits and sponsor tables and do things like that. Support those nonprofits and give. Tomorrow I'm emceeing Corona Life Services Banquet, and people have stepped up and helped out there. So, and I know you're going to be there tomorrow night supporting it.
So exciting.
Yeah, so there's great things, and that's where God's called you. Once you take care of those things, now you have the opportunity to. And along the way, of course, you didn't just start, but along the way, but now you can do things that you've never been able to do, and you have total peace. And it doesn't matter what obstacles come in the way now, because you're able to handle them because you're financially set.
And when John is talking, we didn't talk honestly about this, but you did reference it maybe twice. So I think it's really critical, even though we're going to reference it at the end, it actually is in the beginning, and that is tithing. Tithing is the 10%. So when we're talking about build wealth to give and to support ministries, that's not your tithe. No. That is your offering above your tithe. And so we it wasn't part of the step, but the truth is the 10% comes immediate.
Yes.
Before all of it, because you've got to pull your part. And you put a statistic on here for me that 2.5 to 4.5% is what people
Dave Ramsey
really
teaches
give.
that in FPU. He says 2.5 to 4.5% tithe. That's why he jokes around. Is it off the gross or the net? He said it doesn't matter. You're not doing it anyway. So people aren't doing it, so they should be tithing. He does it off the gross. He'd rather be err on the high side. Yeah. So, and I believe just in the research I've done, it is off the gross. So tithe 10% off the gross. You should go to your local church where you're getting fed, who would help you, as long as they're doing what God's called them to do, support the widows and support people and the poor and things. That's where you give your first 10%, the first fruits. And then the rest of it takes place. So it's not, I'm going to do this and that and then go back to it. And tithe isn't a fifth or a second, or it's a tenth. That's where the word comes from.
Exactly. So I want to end on this. We didn't really read too many scriptures out today, but I want to read these. Luke 12:34, where your heart is, your treasure is also. Absolutely. So today, go to the Lord and have him search all things not of God. That is my daily challenge today. I'll be teaching after the show, teaching other people on this 30-day challenge. I'm also starting April 1st another social media accountability group. So if you want to join me, go to my website at www.godsamazingplans.com. Let me know, and we'll hook you into the private accountability group. But it is so important on day 9 today of the challenge that we search our heart for all things not of God, because where our heart is, our treasure is also. Absolutely. And so we need God to search our heart every single day, Father, and to bring it all out. Let me know what is going on in my heart, and to remove things that are not of you, so there is space for all things of you. Yes. And in Luke 16:10, whoever can be trusted with a little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with little will also be very I threw in very dishonest.
They'll be very dishonest, as opposed to just dishonest.
They'll be dishonest with much. And when you read the next verse, verse 11, it says, "And if you are untrustworthy about worldly wealth, who will trust you with the true riches in heaven?" And so that be my challenge to each and every one of you today on my Day 9 challenge on learning how to live God's way with your finances, is go and have God search your heart for all things not of him, and ask him to help you to start. Step 1, your emergency fund. 2, to get all your debt paid off, doing the snowball from small to large, roll them over and continue to pay them off. 3, get your 3 to 6 months emergency fund to cover your household expenses in the event that you have some sort of emergency or tragedy come, so that you don't lose your house and your life. 4, invest 15% of your household income into an IRA and tax-favored plans. Step 5, save for your children's college education. 6, pay off your house early. And 7, build wealth so that you can live and give like no one else.
Right.
Yes.
And I would just challenge those listening out there that are blessed by you, Tamara, to go to your website and support you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
So,
yes.
yeah, it doesn't matter how much give to you, because I know you're sacrificing
Thank you.
for your finances to do what God's called you to do, and so
Thank you.
That's where the rest of us we all need to step up and support people that are doing what you're doing.
And John, I'm always promoting other ministries, but to hear you say that to me about our ministry, just honestly, I've been like choking up, like, oh my goodness. And I had somebody at church come up to me and give me an offering and say, we want to support your ministry. And I was just, and it wasn't a huge gift, but it was huge. The support of that. So I want to thank you very much. Thank all my listeners. Tune back in next Friday, 10 o'clock. Pastor Sandra Webster of Total Restoration Ministries will be my guest, and we will be talking about purpose and power and the fire of the Holy Spirit in you, moving you forward for healing and restoration. And we will...
Think Rowan's going to be back?
See you next... Yes, Rowan will be back.
He will.
Tune in and check us out. Hope to see you soon, and we'll see you next Friday. Thanks for joining us today at God's Amazing Plans, and on behalf of Amazing Life Ministries, we want to say thank you for spending your morning with us. We pray that today you got a glimpse of God and experienced His powerful presence. He is real and He is good. He has given His children many promises, and we at God's Amazing Plans live by the promises of Jeremiah 29:11 and Romans 8:28. Be blessed, and remember, we are blessed to be a blessing to others. Now go live out His good plans for your life.